Now slowly try to come back. Give yourself time to come back, friends. Really start to sense your body. Starting from food. Now let us express our gratitude to all the masters, to the universe. Gratitude to our body, to ourselves. Gratitude to all beings on this planet. And gratitude to Mother Earth. Now slowly place your fingers on your eyes for 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. Gently open your eyes. Now you're ready, friends. Thank you so much for joining in meditation. Hope you have enjoyed the meditation. So today, let us start chapter 9. So we have entered into part 2 of the book, SETH Wisdom. SETH speaks the eternal validity of the soul. So this chapter, this part 2, not completely about death, but yeah, couple of chapters coming like 9th and 10th. So 2 chapters, they are about death and also about the reincarnational relationships, and a lot of information, a lot of wisdom has been shared by SETH Master. So coming to today's topic, the death experience. So the death experience here, he's sharing about the general experience, the death experience, what a person, what an individual undergoes when, and there are some questions which he has answered. So SETH Master begins this chapter with a question: what happens at the point of death? So this question, everyone, we generally we get these questions: what happens at the time of at the point of death? Not the time, at the point of death, what generally happens to our body or to ourselves? Like so many questions related to death experience. Okay, he says this question is asked more frequently because basically there is not any, he says, there is not any particular point in those terms, even in the case of a sudden death. So what this sentence mean, what he meant is, it meant that when death occurs, so what he said, there is not any particular point in those terms. So even in the case of a sudden death, so whatever the death may be sudden, or that may be on a gradual basis, but on a gradual thing, but the certain things, so whether it's gradual or sudden, certain things, possibly material concerns, or particular viewpoints, there is no longer holds any significance. Like how the materialistic things, or related to anything about the body, what the body feels, a sudden jerk, or of a sudden death, it's all like pre-planned. We think it's all of a sudden death. Maybe the soul is not ready, maybe the person is not ready, but everything, so though it is a gradual thing or though it is a sudden, there is no point, there is no like particular point, there is no particular point or terms that varies in that experience. Okay, so what the question really means, so he said, SETH Master says, what the question really means to most of the people is this question: what happens at the particular point of death? So from these questions, there are many questions has been derived. So that question meant a lot of questions. So he says, what will happen when I am not alive in physical terms any longer? So this is one of the question. that comes from the first question. What happens at the point of death is a general question, but in that general question, there are like many questions that we generally get. So what will happen when I am not alive in physical terms any longer? And the next is, what will I feel? So how do we feel? And at the point of death, how a person feels or how I feel, right? Will I still be myself? This is another question. Will the emotions that propelled me in life continue to do so? Is there a heaven or a hell? So these are like so many questions he asked. He said generally people get these doubts. Will I be greeted by gods or demons, enemies or beloved ones? Like so many questions related to death. Now when we read or when we get to know certain wisdom, so we have to reflect upon that. So how we feel, so you have to think how you feel when these are the general questions. But apart from these questions, do you have any questions related to death? So how do you feel? So what is death in terms of your self? So what do you actually mean by death? So what happens? So this is what we have to reflect. Okay. Then Seth Master says, most of all the question means, when I am dead, will I still be who I am? And will I remember those who are dear to me now? Right? So will we remember? So when we leave our body, or when a person leaves his body, so so he thinks, will my family members remember me? It's not like I remember the family member. Will the family members remember me? So what will happen? What happens if they forget me? So like so many questions. So he says, the fact is, there is no separate. Like about death, he says about death. This is a beautiful line, friends. So he said, there is no separate, indivisible, specific point of death. Life is a state of becoming, and death is a part of this process of becoming. So life is a state of becoming. So becoming what? Becoming, we are that, isn't it? We are that. So we are that, but we need to experience that we are that. We are something great. We are not this physical body. We are not this what we see, what we reflect, and what we think from the limited perspective. But we are something greater than that. So from greater, we have to experience. In order to experience the greater, the unlimitedness in us, so we are taking, so these are whatever the life, no, the experiences we are undergoing. These are the lessons. So these are the experiences we gain wisdom from these experiences, and we feel that we will come to know that we are that. So these death, like death is not separate thing. Life and death, there is no separate between life and death. Life and death are so common. So that means life and death are equal. There is not something that don't separates. That is not any separation. So there is no separate, there is no indivisible specific point of death. So life is a state of becoming, and death is a part of this process of becoming. So unless a soul leaves the body, it can't take another birth, it can't take another body, another form, isn't it? So these taking birth and death, this cycle, what is happening? It's like we are becoming that. So this is a process. So birth and death. And he says next, so we are alive. He said, we are alive when the atoms, molecules, cells in our body die, isn't it? So those who are it's a general thing, and those are science, from the background of science, so they know very well. So in our body, atoms and molecules, they die. So frequently they take birth, and not they, but the new cells born. So this is a continuous process that happens in our body. So some cells, they die, and some they take birth. So like equally, they maintain equal. So equal amount of, that means we do have the millions and millions and trillions of cells, but some they die, some they again take birth. So this isn't it. So this is a continuous process in our body, but we are not aware of the death experience that is happening when we are alive, isn't it? So it is dying. Some cells in our body are dying, some cells take birth. So the death of the cell, this is not somewhere out of our body, friends, isn't it? It is in our body, within the body. The cells are dying, but we are not experiencing the death, the death of the cells. Our cells are dying, but we are not experiencing that. We are not aware of that. We are not aware of the death experience that is happening when we are alive. So Seth Master says, you are alive, therefore in the midst of small deaths. So these small deaths are happening in our body, but we are not aware, and we are alive. Isn't it? We are alive. So portions of your own image crumble away moment by moment and are replaced, and you scarcely, and we give the matter a thought. So it's like every moment by moment, these cells and atoms have been replaced, and we barely give the matter a thought. So we are not aware, and we don't even give any thought, though we know, okay, my body, so these cells are dying. So when the cells are dying, am I experiencing the death? Am I experiencing that whatever the dying? So at the time, so am I experiencing that? No, it's like it's a short. We are not giving any thought. It's like, like it's a short gap. It's a short pause, and even take your breath, friends. So we take breath for a few seconds. We won't. There will be a gap between in and out cycles. There will be a gap. No, it's not like continuous process. Everything it is not continuous. We don't take immediate inhalation or exhalation. So there will be a small gap. So that small gap, we are not taking breath. So that's also as for a few seconds. That's also a death experience, isn't it? So we are not aware of that. We are seeing only the bigger picture. We are seeing only bigger picture means we are seeing the long pause, but we are not aware of the short pauses that happening in our body. That's also a death. Okay, if the cells do not die, so if the cells do not die, and we are not replenished, refilled, it's not refilled, reformed, the physical image would not continue to exist. So now in the present, as you know it, your consciousness flickers about ever-changing corporeal. See, like, the cells will not die. If the cells won't die, okay, so what will happen? So our body, it's not reformed. So our physical image would not continue to exist. So everything will be like reformed, reforming. So our body is in the process, so every time it is in the process of reforming. It's the cells and atoms and molecules. The physical image would not continue to exist if the cell won't die and if the cell won't take birth. The same to us. So it is same reflect to us. So this is it's about the cells and atoms, but the whole body, that means the whole, whatever the cells present in our body, whatever what are the molecules, atoms in our body, so we get disconnect. So that is a small separation, that is a small gap. So so as these cells, they if they won't die, the physical image would not continue to exist. So if the soul won't separate from the physical body, it won't evolve. It can't evolve, isn't it? For evolution, for the further progress, for reforming it. So for reforming, like reforming its wisdom, reforming its evolution, it has to separate from the physical body. So there is no separate every time. So what he is trying to say, Seth Master, there is no separate thing like life or death. Both are same. Treat them equally. So there is And he says the consciousness, isn't it, in our body. So now the present, as you know, your consciousness flickers about ever changing corporeal. So ever changing this physical image, our consciousness flickers. We have discussed this in last chapter about when we are discussing about dreams, sleep and consciousness, that our consciousness, no, it's not, it won't take it, it's not stable. It like there is a rhythm in a consciousness, isn't it? So he is comparing our consciousness with a firefly. You know, firefly, it's a firefly we can see in the dark, you know, in the fields or and some around the trees in our garden. Sometimes it's a fire, it flickers. The light won't stay stable. It flickers, right? Like the light flickers. So you know, fly fires. So while it seems to you that your consciousness is continuous, we think that if we are alive and our consciousness is continuous with us, but no, that is not so. So like a firefly, our consciousness flickers on and off, right? Just like a firefly. So we have no explaining. So it is not like constant. There is no pulsation of consciousness. We are not aware of it. So it's even the consciousness in us is not constant. It's there are the pulsations, like you know, flickers. The consciousness has certain rhythm. So we are not aware of it. That means whatever happening in our body, it's not like continuous. It's not happening continuously. Take about the cells and atoms in our and molecules in our body, and take about the breath that we experience, the real example or experience we get. And next, coming to the consciousness. The consciousness drives our physical body, isn't it? The consciousness is the life. It's the prana. So the soul consciousness drives our physical body. Even that is not stable. That is not constant. It flickers. There are pulsations. Even our pulse, check your pulse. It's like on and off, on and off. So we are alive in the midst of multitudinous. So multitudinous, like many small deaths. We are alive in between these small deaths, though we realize it or not, right? He says, you are often dead, even amid the sparkling life of your consciousness. So he says, like, we are dead, even in the life, even in this long span of life, in the sparkling life of your own consciousness. At some moments we are dead, but we are not aware of it. Okay. So, and he also explained why he used the word dead here. He says that we are often dead, right? So why he has used the word dead? So it means completely unfocused in physical reality. So completely unfocused in physical reality. So whatever it is happening physically, so whatever we are not aware of it, and we are not even thinking of that. So what I reflect upon the above wisdom, friends. So what I understand is given by SETH Master is a total absence of physical body. In a physical body is nothing but death experience, isn't it? So when we are alive, our consciousness or we are with our consciousness. Yeah, though we are not continuously with our consciousness, though consciousness is not, it's like having certain rhythms on and off, like a firefly. So if there is the total absence of the consciousness in the physical body is death experience. So, and the leftover physical form. So whatever the physical body left after the consciousness has left, it is called a dead body. So that means there is no life in it. There is no consciousness in it. So consciousness has got separated. There is no consciousness. That's why, you know, that's called that. So what happens to this consciousness then? So when the consciousness gets when it totally gets separated from the physical body, what will happen? It will take a new form, a new physical form. So already the body, the past, whatever the physical form it has taken, the consciousness has taken a form. Isn't it a physical form? And we stick on that, we cling on that physical body, thinking that this is me. No, we are that consciousness. We are not this body. We are that consciousness. So we have to connect with that consciousness, not with with our physical body. Of course, our physical body is important. Of course, it's precious. So we until we reach that point of leaving our physical body. So we should not get attached to our physical body, right? We are something, that we are consciousness, and that consciousness take another physical form. And thus this evolution happens with each birth, or with every physical form we take in. See, like in the past lives, so I have taken many past lives, so we have gone through many past lives. So when I see the past lives, I think like, okay, so if I have taken birth in some other country and some other form, unless though no, my conscious won't leave that body, I can't take this form. And taking this form is like steps to evolution. Steps, we are like, I am towards the evolution, right? So we all are in that form. So unless we leave, unless the consciousness, unless we get separate, so that is actually helping, isn't it? It is helping for every soul to evolve, any soul. So it's like they are going to the higher dimensions. They are in their greater journey, friends. So death is a beautiful transformation. That is not something that we have to mourn on, or we have to the absence of certain physical. But when we look into the other coin, when we look into the other side of the coin, so no, we have to be happy. We have to be like, we have to give love, so that even the self-love, so okay, it's okay. So accept that it's okay. That means the greater picture, the greater side is evolution. So every soul has to evolve, isn't it? So coming to the few readings from the book, okay. He says, for one instant, your consciousness, so he's talking about consciousness now. So for one instant, your consciousness is alive, focused in physical reality. Now for the next instant, it is focused somewhere else, entirely in a different system of reality. So what happens here? Flickers. It is not constant, right? So what is happening? So why it is not constant? So here he explains. So it is like, for one moment, the consciousness will focus on something else, and on sometimes in other reality. So it is unalive or dead in your way of thinking. So we think that it is, we are like, that consciousness is dead, but it is not dead. It is looking on the other side. So that's why we are not that is not constant in our body. Our own consciousness sometimes looks in the other reality. That means there are many worlds, there are parallel worlds, or the conscious, it explodes into into next realms, like different realms. So it being in this physical body, yes, it is not constant in this physical body, but it is utilizing here physical body. But sometimes it is exploring, sometimes it is seeing on the other realities as well, but we are not aware. We think that it's a death in our thought. So in next instant, it is alive again, focused in your reality, but you are not aware of the intervening instant of unaliveness. Your sense of continuity, therefore, is built up entirely on every other pulsation of consciousness. Now, in the same way, atoms and molecules exist so that they are dead or inactive within your system, then alive or active, but you cannot perceive the instant in which they do not exist. So we do not know what is happening to the cells, or what will happen to the whatever the cells they are dying. So we do not know, we are not aware of it, and we are even not aware of the cells that take birth, isn't it? Since you were Yeah, since your bodies and your entire physical universe are composed of atoms and molecules, then I am telling you that the entire structure exists in the same manner. So though coming to the atoms or cells, so coming to your physical body, it's a common, it's like completely that the entire structure that's in the same manner. Okay, it flickers off and on, in other words, and in a certain rhythm, as say the rhythm of breath. So this line, friends, the I was really surprised, because a couple of it's like last week when we are about to complete that sleep dream and session, I even discussed about this. So when we are taking breath, so I got to know. So Seth Master, he took me into my body. I could see my lungs and all, and I could see my cells. So they are like, they are having pulse, just like our breath. So just like our heart, they are they are pulsing. So they are like, vibrating at the same rate of the at the pulsation of our heart. So everything is aligned, and this pulsation is with the is dependent on our, it depends on our breath. So when we take intense breath, that's what the cells also feels intense. The people who feels they are if they are having anxiety issues, their breath changes, the rhythm of the breath changes, and so the cells change, and so the cell rhythm also changes. And these cells, when they are having intense pulsation, they are releasing some chemicals in our body, releasing some chemicals and gases in our body. And this is how happening. It's like triggering, it's triggered emotions, and something like physically it is happening, something in our body, like anything that disturbs our physical body, that's the release of the chemicals and gases. And see, friends, how the breath works. So all depends on our breath. So every time, that's why we have to be so calm, and we have to observe your breath. So many things will happen. And this line remembers that experience, and the same thing he explained here. And coming to, he said, death is simply the insertion of a longer duration of that pulsation of which you are not aware, a long pause in that other dimension, so to speak. See, they're like these atoms and molecules, you say, like there is a small gap, but death is like a long pause. Long pause. That's it. It's a long pause. So in other dimension, so to speak. And the death, say, of physical tissue is merely a part of the process of life, as you know it in your system, a part of process of becoming. And from those tissues, new life will spring. So again, compared to our cells, which are dying, which are taking birth, it's like when the cells are taking birth, that means so new tissues are born, isn't it? So when we get some little cut on our body, so after few days, how it is getting healed? Because the cells here, they rebirth, they take birth, and they heal, and that means the new tissues will form, and our skin get healed, will be normal. So in the same way, this death, whatever the tissues and whatever the consciousness, it will take a new life. Okay, so and rest next week. So this is our today's session, friends. Now we will continue rest in the next session. And the next session, he says, experiences of our belief system that reflects to our to death. So how the belief system works, and how the thought pattern works. So when we leave, even when we leave our physical body, what happens then? So there's a lot of wisdom has been shared, friends, beautiful wisdom. Thank you so much then for today. At all you want to share anything, you can unmute yourself, or we'll meet in the next session. Okay, so the sharing span, then we'll meet in the next meditation session, friends. Have a great time, and thank you all. Namaste.